addiction, tonight's topic is it's not what you know, it's who you know in addiction recovery. So my name's Ashley, for those who's new to the channel. I am a therapist. I specialise in childhood and trauma, but I'm also an addictions counsellor. I've overcame addiction. I think that's the main thing, which I always say that qualifies as. I've studied it right the way up to PhD level, and I also know what it's like to have a loved one who's struggling with addiction. So I'm going to talk about tonight's topic, and then I'm going to do a live Q&A. So tonight's topic is on it's not what you know, but who you know in addiction recovery. So I was thinking today about what was helpful in my addiction recovery, and one of the things was I had a lot of really supportive people in my life. So I remember when I was in active addiction, I said to my friend, I was really open about it, and he turned around and he said, I know that you're not going to be stuck in addiction forever. So one, that I was giving us hope, and two, he kept just saying to us, it's really sad. I feel really sorry for you. Like, I know this must be really hard. So he was giving us my dignity and not shaming us, but just being present and not putting any pressure on us to stop. So that was really helpful because it made us feel like, oh, actually I can do this. And also it is sad and it's not something I need to be ashamed of. And this person's still in my life. The second thing is when I came out of addiction, so I told everybody, I had a group of people who were so supportive, who were just bigging us up, who were saying, you've got this, you're doing amazing, like ring us anytime. And they were just my cheerleaders. They called themselves my fans. So I had really supportive people in my life who really did change the trajectory of my addiction recovery. Now, maybe you don't have people who are as supportive in your life actively, but this is where groups can come in, because the key thing across these people who were supporting us was the fact that they were bigging us up and they weren't judging us for it. And this is where addiction groups can be really helpful. So when we're talking about it's not what we know, but who we know, it's really important that the people around you are bigging you up. That's the main thing. And they're supportive in a way of, you're amazing, you can do this. Because often what happens in addiction is we put ourselves down. So we need people who's going to counteract that, people who see us for who we actually are. Hi, Jason, it's been a while. How are you doing? Hello, Chris, how are you doing? And hi, Tico. I'll just pin that. Yeah, so it's really important that we're just surrounding ourselves with the right people. And this is the same just in life in general for mental health. So you always say if you surround yourself with millionaires, you'll be a millionaire. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are struggling in addiction and they're the main people you speak to, then you're probably going to continue to be stuck in addiction. So we need to make sure that we're finding our tribe, people who are going to big us up, people who are going to not put pressure and who are going to be supportive, and also who aren't in active addiction themselves. Or who not to know anymore. Yes, I love that. One of the humans, or who not to know anymore. Yeah, I think one of the big things that a lot of people in recovery realise is that actually a lot of the friends that they used to socialise with, they have to either walk away from or revamp their relationship with them. Because a lot of the friendships are built on a buzz, especially if it's addiction or alcohol. But if they're real friends, they'll be supportive and you can revamp it. So yeah, but it's who not to know anymore. And we do have to decide, are we going to put our recovery first, or we're going to put these people in our lives first? So if they're not supporting you in your recovery and they're not able to do that, then are you going to waste however many more years on them? And it's a really hard question to be faced with, but it is what a lot of people in recovery are faced with. Hi, how's everyone doing anyways? So yeah, Tico's saying evening to everyone in the community. Hello. User, I need help. Yeah, I've need to, so if you go on my website, schoolofaddiction.co.uk, and send us a message and I'll get in touch. I've got a little bit of a backlog because I've been struggling, and my son's came back, so I'm like trying to get in the swing of being a mum. But yeah, send us a message if you haven't already and I'll get back to you in the next couple of days. But yeah, absolutely. I'll do a free one-to-one if anybody needs it. And also I'm starting a group, I'm thinking next week. So yeah. I'm not gonna read that. Seacock. Right, poor guy. We're doing fine. How yeah, thank you, Tico. That was a message. I think that I don't mind trolls, but that was too far. So basically, I'm just going to call you Dav. I really can't read your names, honestly. I can't read them all, so you get nicknames. Dav, I'm a therapist and I'll up for answering any questions around addiction and mental health, but it's an addiction channel. But the main thing I think with addiction is we have to address what's going on underneath, so I'll answer any questions on mental health. So yeah, send us your best question. I'll do my best. So Jason, I had my jaw broken. I had a surgical screw and plate. God, is that why you've not been on recently? Are you all right? That is fucking hefty getting your jaw broken. I've never had a bone broken, but if I was gonna have one, I wouldn't pick my jaw. If I had to pick, that would be low on the list. How you doing though? We need to be supportive, yeah. And just not racist would be good. I mean, if you don't want to be supportive, at least don't be racist. Who let the goats out, Corvin? What do you mean by that? Because I've been getting a little bit down with the kids recently and noticed that people are using the word goat all the time instead of black sheep. Don't fully understand it. I don't know why it's a goat, but I don't know if that's what you're referencing. Jaw broken, bro ate some big things apparently. Yeah, I mean, how does one get the jaw broken? Beating addiction requires a change of identity through a change of environment. Yeah, you do. And it's not just your external environment, it's your internal environment. And I think a lot of us are really naive when we're going into it. Me too. Where I think, oh, I'm just going to remove the addiction. But actually, it's not just removing the addiction, and especially for sustainable recovery. So people who are only just removing the addiction are going to struggle. But yeah, you kind of sharp find out actually there's quite a lot of stuff that I'm going to have to change. Friends, the things you're doing with your time, because we're removing a big portion of our time and energy that would be spent on whatever the thing we're addicted to. So we need to fill that. And a lot of it is mindset. I'd say we'll have to have a brain transplant if possible, because you get flooded with everything that's happened in your addiction, all the stuff that happened before your addiction, and it's tough. So yeah, you have to change your internal and external environment. Sandro, I heard gambling and doing white powder is so popular now. Yeah, it is. I'm starting to see more and more people talk about that. And I think it's because if you think about, it's probably alcohol, I would say, is in the mix as well there, for a lot of people. But yeah, I think it's for me, when I used to take coke as well, I felt like I had to be doing something. So I imagine that's the link between it. Like, you just feel like you've got to be doing something and focusing your energy. And it's either chewing someone's face or just talking utter shit or something else. So I imagine that's the link. But it's so normal to have multiple addictions. Bang Daniel saying you have to change everything. You do. You really do. Oh, Jason, I'm so sorry you've had your jaw broken. I know I'm laughing, but I just laugh at every situation. Big compensation. Was it in a no win, no fee type thing? Or you don't need to explain, by the way. I'm just being nevy. Just being a little bit nevy over here. Well, hopefully the big compensation is gonna do good things in your life, because I can't imagine that was fun. Peter, 18 years sober here. That is a massive shift. I'm nearly 4. So 4, 8, 12, 16. So nearly 4 times as much as me. So what's your biggest tip then, Peter, that you would say to people if anyone's listening who's struggling in an addiction? Ian, I was addicted to H, but one day a voice in my head said stop, so I stopped. I love that for you. And I can't imagine that was an easy thing to come off as well. I've watched my best friend do it. Yeah, I think So I know somebody who had a similar thing, but they were on mushrooms and they just had, there was a song playing and that made them just change their life. I tried to stop many a time, but I just wasn't successful. And going back to the topic, one of the things that was keeping me stuck in addiction, why I kept relapsing, is because I wasn't prepared to remove myself from people in active addiction because I really cared about them. So then it was like this, like trying to help them get sober instead of accepting, actually, no, I just need to remove myself from this situation. And I started knowing that this was going to happen because I had relapse as a mother with a 1-year-old. I relapsed when I was pregnant and twice in his first year of life. And I was so gunning for it, but I had to remove myself from people, which was really hard. So Bang's saying you need to create and endorse a new identity. Yeah. And, sometimes we're like, I don't know about you guys, but it's almost like, become a new person. You feel like, I don't really want, like, you talk about authenticity. So becoming a new person and identity doesn't feel authentic. But actually, you've got an opportunity to recreate yourself into somebody you want to be, but also do things in alignment with what you enjoy and become more authentic. But yeah, you do. And I'm such a different person to who I was even last year, let alone the person who was coming out of addiction. Like my whole life, like down to the location I live in, just everything, so different. And much better for it as well. I'm a Findom addict. What's Findom? I don't know what that is. David is saying there are more different types of addictions than drops of water in the ocean. Yeah, I've got so many bloody little addictions. And I've got ADHD, so I've got a new addiction every bloody month. I just try and keep them kosher now. Try and make them like add to my life, not ruin them. But everyone's just a lot of people are looking to escape from reality. Let's be real. Especially when, oh God, I just didn't like myself. And that was another thing as well. Try and find, if you're coming out of addiction recovery, we're talking about it's not what you know, but who you know. Like, get to know yourself and be kind to yourself. Like, get to create a good relationship with yourself. So I was forced to do that because I was a single mum not that long after I came out of addiction. And it meant that I was like, had my evenings where I had nothing but to sit with myself because I couldn't drink, couldn't do drugs, and my son was 1, so I had to learn to love myself and get to know myself, because at first I was like, I kind of don't like me, but I'm my only company, so then I had to get to love myself, and I'm so glad for it. One of the humans, introvert with social anxiety leads me to drink to act like a normal person in social situations, but it's unsustainable. Yeah, I mean, I've really recently cut out alcohol, and I've been, like, social situations was really hard, like facing it, but it's something you can learn. So if you think about it, like, I'm feeling anxious, like, learn how to regulate, I would say, is a good place. So if you think about the addiction serving a purpose, learn how to regulate your emotions. So if you feel anxiety, you know how to stop it in its tracks, which is easy, but it takes a lot of persistence. But it's a lot easier than we think. It's just day in, day out practicing. And also put yourself in little social situations and just get more and more comfortable. So anxiety in social situations is essentially, anxiety is fight or flight. So it's a response to a threat. So for you, for some reason, in social situations feels like a threat. So it's about learning how to get comfortable in it little bit by little bit so that it doesn't feel like a threatening thing to you, because it'll be a subconscious threat. That's why you're going into fight or flight. Which I know I'm making that sound really easy, one of the humans. I'm not downplaying it, but if we break it down to a simple plan that you can follow, it would be within that structure. Peter, it was alcohol and I was taking it with painkillers, so I had to stop. What was that? Findom? Oh, was it a type of alcohol? Well, so Peter, did you say that oh, you're 18 years sober, so is that what you were saying you were like addicted to? Alcohol's a really difficult one to stop. Would you say music can accentuate a depression or psychosis? That's a good question, Tigo. As somebody who's dealt with psychosis and depression, yeah. But it's one of them where it's like the chicken or the egg situation. So I don't know if when I'm depressed, if I listen to depressing music, which then makes us more depressed, and then it becomes like a catch-22, or if I'm listening to depressing music, which makes us feel depressed. Because I was watching a series the other day, a depressing series the other day, and I actually felt really depressed all day. And then luckily I watched the full series in one day, and after I was like, why did I just do that? I've just spent the full day really, really depressed. But yeah. I think with psychosis, I think they can just kind of bounce off each other. And that's probably what it is. I think emotions and music probably just bounce off each other. Because sometimes what I'll do is put on upbeat music. If I'm feeling miserable or angry, I put upbeat music on and then readdress how I actually feel about a situation, because usually it levels us out a bit. What's your thoughts though, Tico? And anybody else for that matter? David, in some cultures, the nose ring symbolizes ownership. Are you being forced to wear the nose ring? No. I actually got this pierced when I was in the middle of a psychotic episode. But the reason why I got it done was because I get really spiritual when I'm in my psychosis. And the reason why I got it done is because I used to really struggle with like how I viewed myself. And one of the things I hated was my nose. So I got this as like a symbol of like symbolizing how far I've come. In reality, it was just symbolizing how psychotic I was being at the time, because I also went and watched the Barbie movie 3 times and was like obsessed with it, like next level obsessed with it, like thinking there was messages in it for us, kind of, which I don't think Barbie was created with me in mind, to be honest with you. So yeah, not owned. BGB, I stopped drinking and other activities 6.5 years ago. How are you feeling now? And we've been talking about recreating your whole identity. Is that something you've had to go through? I love the accent. I could listen to you read a dictionary. You would struggle because I'm dyslexic. You'd probably have more laughs and feel soothed, to be honest with you. I'll just spat my drink at myself as well. Right. Introverted banana. What broke my cycle? Moving location, having a child, new priorities, new life. Boundaries, removing friends that would negatively impact us. Yeah, I think this is like a common thing, not necessarily having the child. A lot of people do move location. But yeah, it's removing friends who would negatively impact you, in boundaries. There's something I saw, and I've said this before, but it really hit true with us. And it said people who struggle with boundaries with others often struggle with boundaries with themselves. And I was like, yeah, that makes so much more sense. And the more I've learned to have boundaries with myself, the stronger my boundaries are with others. And let's be real, addiction is a lack of boundaries with yourself. So yeah. Bang Daniel, identify as a non-drinker / drug user to yourself primarily, and once other identity you as the same, it endorses your identity. Yeah, my auntie stopped smoking by doing that. She said that I'm just not a smoker. And this is where I struggle. I think highly of AA and NA meetings and all the other A meetings. But the one thing that I really struggle with is that my name is Ashley and I'm an addict. Because it's like this identity that you're keeping hold of. And when you look at the neuroscience behind it and psychology behind it and NLP, it just doesn't link up with what the research is saying. So hi, my name is Ashley and I'm a recovered addict. And I really feel that identity. One of the humans, introvert with social anxiety and ADHD is a tough combination when avoiding addiction. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I've got ADHD, and you get my social battery gets so low with without alcohol. So I didn't drink on New Year's Eve. Well, actually, that's a lie. I had a bottle of non-secco and I ran out, and I had a beer after, and then like about that much of another one. But I wasn't drunk, and I'd been sipping it for about an hour. And by the end of it, I wanted to be by myself in a dark room. It was just so much. It was so intense. It made us think about, like, this is probably why I've always been drunk in social situations, or wrecked. But yeah, it is a social anxiety. So that's the thing. You're probably dealing with like overstimulation, also sensory overload, plus social anxiety, which is a separate thing, and also that's alcohol's now your comfort blanket. So this is where I would say practice taking away the comfort blanket in low social situations. So even if you just pop right, if there's a social situation, you might want to pop round for 5 minutes and just sit there, say like, I'm gonna just come for 5 minutes, and then leaves. So just like do it in little stints, you know what I mean? Or wait. You could even go to the social situation and wait an hour before you have a drink, just so you can get used to socializing. But then you've still got this, like, the drinks there. Because realistically, you need to deal with the root cause, not just the addiction. So I would get used to exercising, being in social situations without the crutch, but with the comfort of I can have a drink in an hour's time or something like that. And then at the end, so anytime we're doing something like this is what you do with phobias. So anytime you're doing something new like that, then at the end, maybe the next day or at some point, reflect on it. So ask yourself, like, actually, was that as bad as I initially feared? What was good about it? What was maybe negative about it? And that way you're telling your brain about, actually, that's safe. It's not as unsafe as I thought. Ian Harris, you seem like a beautiful person. Thank you. That's very kind comment. Jersey, addiction is not the problem. The problem is the heart it has to change from hate to love in order for you to have perfect peace. Right, addiction isn't the problem. The problem is in the heart, that's right. In the heart, it has to change from hate to love in order for you to have perfect peace. And look, guys, when I had an addiction, I do fully agree with this, but we need to put ourselves in the equation, because when I had an addiction, I was too loving to the point of my own detriment, where I would just, because I've always had like seen the world in a good way, because that's how I operate. I've always assumed that everybody else is the same, and I've always also then had put people up here on pedestals and me down here. And actually the person that I had to learn to love was myself. And then when I learned to love myself enough, then I had to test the waters on how much do the people in my life love us, like, can they handle boundaries? Because realistically, if they loved us, they would. So yeah. But I fully agree with that, Jersey. It is about hate, and I'd say a big part of that is self-hatred. And I think just mental health in general. I think a lot of people who struggle with mental health are actually struggling with loving themselves and feeling at peace in themselves and with the world. Hi, Ashley. Oh, hello, Marek. How are you doing? How are you? How is going to school of addiction? It's going all right. I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed this week. My son's back at school. He's been with his dad for 10 days, and he's always a bit dysregulated when he comes back. And I'm trying to do planning for my group, which I'm wanting to start next week. And I've got quite a few one-to-ones to book in. So feeling a little bit overwhelmed, but just trying to stay chill and take it one step at a time. How's everyone else? Cogito, why is it so hard, so unbearable? I haven't had a drink since Friday, since your last video, and I can't concentrate on anything. I'm irritable, I lose my temper easily, sometimes I get angry for no reason, and all I can think about is drinking. Right, first of all, cogito, this is 100% part of the process. Right now, your brain is rewiring itself and everything is going to look shit. You're going to feel really irritable, you're going to be struggling to sleep, no doubt. Life's going to feel like it's had all the light and colour sucked out of it. But you need to get past your first 3 weeks and you'll start to see things start to pick up a little bit. So just remind yourself, I've got to keep going. So have you downloaded any of the apps, Cogito, to help? So I used I Am Sober, but just to keep like, okay, I've got another day closer to the 3 weeks and it will start to get easier then. Also, what are you doing? Have you got things that you're doing to help you just like, I suppose like at this point, keep you comfortable and like soothe you, just things to distract you. Distraction is a big thing. Also, if you're wanting to do a one-to-one, if you do, let us know now and I'll give you my email or something. I'll make sure I pick it up tonight and get it booked in, or can even just book it in now, like a date and time. But yeah, just this is a really crucial part, and I know it's really hard, but this is the point you're going to push through, and this is going to be the point that a future you is going to be so fucking proud that you just kept going even though you felt like that. And it is just like that you're in the trenches now, but you're on your way out of it. Has anybody got any advice for Cogito, who like for them early few weeks when you're coming out of addiction? Because this is something that everybody goes through, and like it is part of the process, which I know is not very helpful. Thinking, well, I don't care that other people have been through this, but what is helpful is having like there's an end, like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you're just in the dark part of the tunnel now. Your accent is Scotland. Scottish, you mean, Samson? No, it's not. I'm from Newcastle, so it's like fairly close. It's like very close to the borders. Marek, my personal opinion is that the biggest problem is the uncontrollable phone usage. People are not capable to leave a phone. They go into the toilet with the phone. Yeah, I'm been struggling with this. I'm starting to get better at it, actually. I've just been trying to, it's one of them things, you know, when you grapple with it, where you kind of like, I'll cut it out and then like find myself doom scrolling again. So then I'm like trying to get more boundaried, but I'm coming out of it. But it's sad as well. Marek, it is very much an addiction of the 21st century. Yeah. And it hijacks the same reward processes in your brain that drugs and alcohol does. But you wouldn't sit there shaming someone for using the phone. Probably too busy on your phone to do that. Shame somebody online. Be a troll. Are those freckles? Yeah. I'm ginger. Chris, how do you sit with yourself as you're going through the ugliness of withdrawal? Would you say that getting away from the safe place of addiction is one of the first and most important steps? So I want to think about this because it's been nearly 4 years, so I want to think about what was it that I did to get through addiction. So first of all, what I did is I told everyone and I said what I needed. So I'd already came out of addiction and it was really hard. So this time I kind of said what I needed. So I said to my family, like, can you have my son for a few days because it's too much for us to be a mum. I made sure my house was, so I cleaned my house. I was like keeping myself busy doing stuff like that and organising. I phoned up my friends, so I was ringing them anytime I felt like shit. And I was just doing things like going out for so many walks, like with the dogs, and just doing anything and everything to keep myself busy. But I already knew that this is what this is going to feel like for the first 3 days. And then I knew that what to expect for the first 3 weeks, and I knew what to expect for the first 3 months. So that was kind of keeping us going, was like, right, I've just got these 3 days are going to be really shit. Then I've got the 3 weeks to get under my belt. And the other thing that I did was I just forgot what was the other. Oh, the other thing I did. So I did drugs tests. So I had something to keep us accountable. So I went on to Amazon, not Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. Is that where you buy stuff from? Why did my brain go blank? Yeah, Amazon. And I bought, that was weird. And bought myself some drugs tests, and I asked for my like people who I trusted to do the drugs tests in front of them every 3 days. So I had that extra level of accountability. So you can do that. You can do like a breathalyzer if you drink with somebody. And the other thing you can do is go to groups. So think of like AA and NA groups, like the same as going for a weigh-in at Slimming World. It's that little bit of accountability. BGB. I went downhill with alcohol and drugs when I started struggling with TMI from college, football, and many concussions. It took a good year to clear my head. TBI, traumatic brain injury. That makes sense. That does make a lot of sense. BGB, did you say that you've got away from that now? I can't remember. Yeah, I've never heard of traumatic brain injury being TBI. My best friend, she had a traumatic brain injury though, and she forgot how to use a knife and fork. It was really bad. She was in a mobility scooter and everything, and yeah, but she's fully recovered now. I'd say she's slightly more innocent than she was. I think she's a little bit more childlike in her nature, but I think that's more because she's just like no fucks given now. I think after that she just doesn't give a fuck. So I think it's changed her for the best. But yeah, it was really hard for her, bless her. Right. I'm just seeing if there's loads of comments, but I'll just keep going through it. Right, so German, you should speak German. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Great channel, thank you. Yeah, hi everyone. Tyron, Tyrannosaurus, fuck's sake. My approach is to remind myself that while I have lots of highs left, I have no more lows, whether that's day to day or long term. It makes discerning various situations much easier for me personally. Yeah, so do you mean remind yourself of like how low you were in addiction? Yeah, I do. I visualize myself sitting in my backyard crying my eyes out, or like writing myself notes. I used to write myself notes. I've said this a few times, but saying, do not buy any more ketamine, you hate this. And I just remember just crying, just so scared, and just helpless. It was horrible. But I think that's what you mean, Tyrannosaurus. Johnny says this all the time. I don't know if Johnny, is this you who keeps asking us, or do I just keep getting asked? Is this a thing? Johnny's saying, please say bottle of water. I don't know why. What's this, Antonio? It's so I'm a therapist, and it's an addiction channel. I just answer questions. Well, just chat. It's not really answer questions or chat about addiction and mental health. Batavoir. What's Batavoir? Oh, is it right? Are you trying to get us to say bottle of water? Yeah, I don't say it like that. That is not me. Chris, yes, scripture is clear. Sinners will not inherit the kingdom of heaven, and yet in Christ it proclaims that we are no longer bound by sin, but made new in Christ. Yeah, I think, well, you know what I'm thinking about sinning. It's mistake making, Chris. But yeah, I think, look, Christianity and faith can be so helpful. That is something that I definitely, when somebody was saying, what did I do? In my early stages of recovery, I massively lent into my spirituality. I found that really helpful. Tell them to have a drink if they need to. Johnny, I don't know what you're getting us to speak about or why, but okay. Just thanks for coming along. Hope you're having a bit of fun. Right, Antonio, because I want a drink now, but then I'm back to on. Oh, because you want a drink now, then you're back to on. Yeah, it's Antonio. I'm trying to remember names. I'm a bit tired today, guys. I didn't get a good night's sleep last night because my son came back, and then we went through his nappy and then decided he wanted to be in my bed. Antonio, are you the person who's just said that you're about, oh, you've stopped drinking since Friday? Was that you? Oh no, that's Cognito. What are you talking about then, Antonio? I'm a little bit lost. Doesn't take much. Right. Leonard, Leonard, or Deal, you're getting called. You're very good at ghosting people that are off topic. Yeah. Well, look, yeah, if people are just chatting, like, if trolls want to be here, they can be here. I don't mind that. It gives them idle thinkers something to do, but I'm not gonna like waste time answering it. One day at a time. Yeah, the door, definitely. It is just one day at a time, but I always say this, one day at a time, because saying the word never, I'm never going to do that, is far too overwhelming and instantly sends the majority of people into fight or flight. Like, even me saying I'm never going to have a drink again, I like feel a bit, oh God. But I do always say one day at a time, absolutely, but have a plan with that. So what I mean by that is one day at a time, but make a deal with yourself that every day I'm going to do something toward the life that I want. So like the life of being a recovered addict. So that might be changing your mindset, reading a self-help book, watching an inspirational podcast, going to therapy if you're ready for it, learning to regulate your nervous system, getting hobbies and interests, either picking them back up or creating new ones. So just try and be proactive in that one day at a time, because that can feel a little bit like, oh, just say, I've done one more day. But if it's like kind of living life on the edge, like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Whereas if we're like one day at a time, but I'm moving forward every day. I have a big problem with gambling, all my money and even more than I have always, 20 years now. It's the only thing I thought I fell weak. Marcus, would you like to do a one-to-one? Gambling is fucking a really shit one, to be honest with you, and I think it's like underrated. The thing with gambling is it could just, like, one night can just be absolutely devastating. I think with my drug addiction is it was just like every night was just pretty shit, but it's like huge ups and highs and lows. But yeah, we can absolutely hash it out if you want, Mark, what to do. I think for that it's looking at what are the triggers first of all. So is it when you have a drink? Is it when you're stressed? So what I would do is sit there and look back on the times that you've gambled and think, what was going on in that day? What was the thing that happened just before I did it? And also, is it a habit? So is it something that you do at weekends, or is it association? So if I have a drink, I do this. If I see this specific person, do I do this? So I would tackle the triggers, Mark, with gambling, and try and like protect yourself in that way. Antonio, I know it's easy to be happy now being sober. I think I need to be happy. So is that something that you're trying to get to, a place of feeling happy? I would say one of the biggest places that I would aim for as a human being would be content and peace. And it's not easy to get there, but like sometimes we put pressure on ourselves to be happy. But actually what's far more valuable is, yes, try and create joy in your life and experience joy, absolutely, but also learn to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. Learn to make shit times in your life feel bearable and feel like something where you actually, I'm resilient, I've got this, so that you feel proud coming out of it, or actually I know I can handle this, so you feel in a sense of like sovereignty. So I would say personally, I would try and get comfortable in all of your emotions. I know you're probably not, like, I'm probably being a bit pedantic, but that just came to mind. Just me, how you doing, Just Me? It's nice to see you again. Congrats, bro. Just remember, you didn't come this far to have come this far. Yeah, absolutely. you didn't, and you absolutely, I think one of the biggest things is it's not just removing the addiction, it's about getting to what I just said there, getting to a place where you feel comfortable in your own body, and that means feeling comfortable with all emotions and creating a life that you enjoy. And one day at a time. Again, I don't want to overwhelm you, just that's one day at a time toward that. Papa, in the army, I was told take 21 times to form a habit. If struggling with the thought, say to yourself, stop, no. So do you mean 21? Yeah, so there is, I actually looked into this because I learned somewhere along the line that it takes 21 days to change a habit. And I fully believed this. And I actually fact checked it recently, and it's not 21 days, but it is a common thing, but it's a rough idea. So yeah, and I think when you look at addiction recovery, the first 3 weeks, there's usually a big change after 21 days, and that's quite a common thread that people experience, and that might vary a little bit. But yeah, just in that 21 days, when you're quitting your addiction, also try and think about who do you want to be now that you're no longer an addict, and then try and think about what steps am I going to take toward that, and do that for 21 days and keep doing it. In fact, go surpass the 21 days. Just keep going. It makes it easier to quit drugs and alcohol if you do it slow and not try to quit cold turkey, Johnny. Yeah, and this is the thing. So if a client comes to us and says, like, I don't know what to do, if somebody wants to go cold turkey and they want to just stop it, like, absolutely, because a lot of people do get sober that way. But if you're not quite sure, I would say that is a better way to do it, because you're going to minimize the impact. So it's not going to be as sharp. So you're kind of getting your brain to get used to having less along the way. And I did that. And also tackling the habits is key in that, like the habitual things. So for me, there was just certain times when I would have my first line and I absolutely would be doing it, and they were the ones to tackle first. I'm 3 years sober, four in August, while to go, but I love that. Realize, how do I say it? Real, you're getting called real, keeping it real. Yeah, I'm nearly 4 years as well. What's your top tip? I love your accent so much, from Oklahoma. Thank you. I've just asked you what's your top tip that you've just said there. So it's saying facing the demons is the most rewarding part afterwards. Yes, it is, in anything. Like any demons you've got, and that's where the gold lies. Taking long, hard looks at yourself is where the gold lies, and yeah, facing it head on, and you just learn who you are. You learn what you're made of, and then you come out feeling really good about yourself. You're like, actually, I fucking did that. I'm some boy or some girl. It's like finishing a difficult level of a video game in a way. Yeah, I think that's a really good description of it. Actually, it is, and I think this is the thing again when people are like, oh, I'm always an addict. I think you can close the chapter on it, and it is like, that's done now. Finish that. Leveled up. You do level up. Honestly, the amount of people who get into like, just when you look at somebody who's been a recovered addict, who's then like also face the demons, you'll find they are the people who are like thriving in life. You're like, whoa. Like any person I've met, they're like just loving life. I'm getting very tired though, so I'm just gonna scroll around. There's a lot of comments, so I'm gonna go around in the bottom and middle and stuff. Genius on the inside is saying only as sick as your secrets. Yeah, and do you know what it is? A lot of the things that I used to be so ashamed of, actually when you say them out loud, they lose their power. I remember being terrified about telling people that I used to have an addiction, like so ashamed of it. Now I'm like sitting here, on YouTube talking about it. I really don't care. I really don't care. And I think, but so many different things like that where I used to be ashamed. And the more you just speak it out loud, the less power. Even if you just speak it out loud to AI, if you don't want to speak or journal to yourself, but just get used to saying it out loud. Why are saying seriously stop streaming so much? Well, I try to just stick to a regular time, because I know for me, when I was, so I ended up relapsing because I was trying to think when it was. So I used to go to groups where during COVID and they were online, and I just used to sit there and listen to AA groups, well, NA groups, because it was Narcotics Anonymous. And I just found it really helpful just to like go and just listen to people. It used to like motivate us. So I try and stick to the same days and do it multiple times a week. Right, an alcoholic father who beat me for everything and robbed me, a mother no better, and that's basically how it began. I became someone I hated throughout my childhood, my father. Oh, Cogito, I'm so sorry to hear that, and it is understandable that you've ended up with struggling with addiction off the back of that. The thing is, though, actually, though, we have like generational cycles. Like we're naturally, we're gonna be, I was gonna say following the footsteps, but not necessarily. But we're gonna be impacted if you're going through anything that anyone has went through what you've been through. It's gonna have an impact on their life, and addiction is just a way of self-medicating that, because no child should ever have to go through that. So it's understandable that that's where you've ended up. And I think the fact that you're saying that you're like your father, when actually you sat here saying I'm trying to change the trajectory of my life, I would argue against. Yeah, you said underneath, but at least I don't beat anyone. Yeah, you're not. Like, somebody who robs somebody and beats somebody is not the same as somebody who struggles with addiction. That's not the same thing. And I think this is one of the main things that I'm trying to put across in the channel, is we shame ourselves for having an addiction. Like in what you've just said there, saying I became someone I hated throughout my childhood. Like, you're comparing yourself to somebody you hate for having an addiction. I think that's not true. Like, addiction is a solution to a problem. And Cognito, if you look at your situation, you are so much more likely to have an addiction because of that. And that's just going off the line you've told us. Like, it's understandable that that's happened, but it's about recognizing, okay, this isn't my fault, but that doesn't mean that I've got to sit here and suffer like this, which you're not. You've put yourself out. And if you want that extra support, I'm absolutely available to do that for you. SG, were you a drug addict? Yeah, I was addicted to ketamine. That was the one I was really addicted to. But honestly, I was just off it. Like, I was drugs and alcohol probably most days of my 20s and early 30s. So yeah, yes, I was. Hello, I can't stop watching pointless streams. Do I have ADD? I think it's part of the human condition, isn't it? I've got ADHD though, so I mean, I can neither confirm or deny it's something that I have been doing. The thing with ADHD is you're always looking for dopamine, because you don't get as much dopamine as other people, so you're constantly searching for dopamine, so you're 50% more likely to have a drug addiction, let alone other addictions. That's just like what research says on drug addiction. So the thing is, you're needing that, you're chasing dopamine more so than the average person, which is why there's so much higher links between addiction and ADHD. And that's the thing. I always say, like, addiction is often self-medicating, undiagnosed mental health disorders and or trauma or some kind of disconnection from society or something, because the links between ADHD and addiction are super high, as is bipolar, BPD. Even if you look at autism and like social anxiety, we had someone talking about ADHD and social anxiety, also have autism and social anxiety. Tal, no, it's so hard for me to be clean. Yeah, it is really fucking tough, Tal, no. Like, it really is. Like, it was the hardest thing that I've ever done. And it really was. And I don't envy you, but that you can do it. I think it's just, it's about getting the right support, and it's about tackling it in a way where it's not just removing the addiction. Tell me if you want to go on my website though, schoolofaddiction.co.uk, and send us a message. I can get in touch. I'm going to be starting an addiction group very soon. I think I'm going to do 2 as well. So if there's too many people, because I've got quite a few people to reply to, I'll do 2. But yeah, just get in touch. But it is hard to get clean, and I don't want to like make it seem like it's something easy, because it's not. But it is doable. And I think that's one of the things, is when I realised actually this is so much fucking harder than I thought, was when I started to feel hopeless. And then that's when it starts to feel scary, and that's where you get deeper and deeper in it. And I want to be real, it's fucking difficult, but it's also doable. Who's that in the back in the graduation outfit? Is that you? It is. That is me. That was my first degree. I did 2 counselling degrees because one of them I couldn't practice as a counsellor. So that was the first one. Basically, I don't even know why they did a counselling degree that you couldn't even be a counsellor with at the end of it. I feel like that was a bit of a scam, not going to lie. But yeah, that was my gran and grandpa's robe as well. Anyways, I'm gonna go, but I'm addicted to being clean. I wash at least 6 times a day and my skin is red raw. Is that more like an OCD type thing? Natural. Like habitual. Because we get like little addictions or habits or whatever you want to call it to like little routines, which we know aren't helpful, but it's exactly the same process. It's exactly the same thing going on in the brain. User, I'm single, marry me. No, I've got a boyfriend and he's actually really lush. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be back on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Sorry, 10 a.m., 9 p.m. I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. GMT time. Guys, I'm normally about 5-10 minutes late, I'm not gonna lie, but I do have ADHD, so let me come about 10 past. I'll try and aim for the on the hour. But anyways, thanks to everyone who's joined, and if anyone could give us a subscribe who hasn't, that's really free way to help the channel. And I'll see you soon. And if I've missed any comments or they want any support, it's all free of charge. Go on my website, schoolofaddiction.co.uk. See you later. Good night.